Hello and welcome to our MAXQDA video tutorial. Today we take a closer look at the document variables. They can help you organize your data and incorporate demographic characteristics or other standardized data into your analysis. This video will cover how to create new variables and a few ways to use them. Every document in your MAXQDA project already has some predefined variables that were automatically assigned to them, as you can see here in the data editor. Those variables include a document's name, creation date, or the number of coded segments. To add my own variables, I need to switch to the list of document variables. This window lists all variables in your project and also some information about them, like the variable type or whether it was automatically created by MAXQDA or user-defined. By clicking on this button, I can add a new variable, for example, to note which city my survey participants live in. Text is already the correct variable type for a string like that. If I wanted to add a variable for the age instead, then I would either choose integer, which stands for integral numbers like 32 or 71, or the date variable. Floating point is the correct type for grades like 1.7, while Boolean variables have only two possible values, like is a member, is not a member. After clicking on OK, we see that a new variable has a blue square in front of it to signify that it is a user-defined variable. Once I switch back to the data editor, I see a newly added column location on the right and can now easily enter the respective values. If you have a spreadsheet with standardized data about the documents in your project, you can also import multiple document variables and their values automatically. As long as the first two columns in the spreadsheet are called document group and document name, and the entries match the documents in your project, MAXQDA will be able to connect the data correctly to the documents. A significant advantage of working with document variables is the possibility to identify distinct parts of your data, for example, to compare data collected in one city with data collected in another city. In order to do so, go to the Mixed Methods section of the menu and select Activate by Document Variable. Now you can define which conditions a document needs to meet in order to be activated and thus taken into account. Since I want to save this document selection for later use, I check this box to create a document set. Now I can retrieve, for example, all segments coded with health from interviews conducted in Indiana. Besides using variables defined by the system or the user, you can also create document variables out of your code system. The first option here is to set the number of coded segments for a specific code as a variable value. Just right-click on a code and select Transform to Document Variable from the context menu. Once you've done that, the data editor displays a new column named like the code. We can see that there are two segments coded with health in the interview with Joanna and 4 segments in the interview with Kim. The second option is especially useful if you have a code with ranked categories as subcodes, or in other words, subcodes that resemble an ordinal scale. Transforming this code into a so-called categorical document variable will have the effect that for every document, the subcode that appeared most frequently is set as the value. This makes it easy to quickly summon all documents, for example with a high or a low life satisfaction. If none of the subcodes were used in a document, the respective entry will remain empty. And if more than one subcode are tied for first place, the cell will display not defined. In the list of document variables, we see that variables derived from codes have a green square. Of course, I can also export my variable table, for example, to further process the data using a statistical software like SPSS. To do this, I simply click on the Export button, choose a file format, and click on Save.